Zadarius Smith gets moved to the Lions. But we're still doing it here, still talking about some of the other guys that didn't get moved and what this means moving forward for the Cleveland Browns. I think that this does not preclude them from making moves in the offseason. These 8 games are going to tell us a lot about what's going to happen with the Cleveland Browns. These 8 games are going to tell us a lot about what is going to happen moving forward with Coach Stefanski, with Andrew Berry, because I think this is an evaluation period at the highest levels. It's easy to walk around and say, we did good last year. We went through adversity. No, this is the real adversity. You now moved one of your veteran players out. Now you've gotten worse. Trust me, the Browns are worse without Amari Cooper and Zadarius Smith. It just is what it is. You're going to start playing younger players. The quarterback situation has not gotten better. So you're still going to have bad quarterback play. You're still going to have issues with offensive line, the scheme up front, not being able to run the football, and still an identity crisis. Once again, watch the game. He did good with play action. He was moving the ball up and down the field. All of a sudden, I see Jameis Winston in 5 wide. When did Jameis Winston bust out the 5 wide? You're still doing stuff like that. So, this season, they're going to have to be evaluated, and there's going to be some tough conversations, right? And Jimmy Haslam's going to have a conversation about that as well. So, for me, what does that mean? Well, the Browns are going to have to do 2 things. One of them is get a lot younger. They're going to have to be more explosive. I know they want to do analytics or whatever, but it should be no reason the Cleveland Browns organization has never had top flight receivers. I mean, never. Like Brian Brennan and Langhorne and Slaughter, they were cool for what it is. They were not bona fide top-notch receivers. The Browns have been living in the dark ages when it comes to spreading the field and trying to do some things. And the disappointing part about it is, even when they did have guys like Jarvis and Odell, they still couldn't get them the ball. They're going to have to do a long, hard look and deep dive into what they want to do in their philosophy, because I don't understand. There's a disconnect. If Kevin Stefanski and, Dorsey, if they have been at practice and you're Andrew Berry, and all you're seeing is vertical routes and 5 wide and open, empty sets, why would you think it's okay that your receiving core was Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, and Jerry Jeudy? Ain't near one of them. No big, physical, strong, fast, vertical, threatening speed type dudes. None of them. Why would you say I'm cool going into the season with the receiving core you got when you know that the coaching staff is pushing to run something else? I don't understand it. I just don't. Like it's like you guys are operating on 2 different ends of the spectrum. Like you work on one side of the office and you work on the other side, and y'all never come to the middle and say, "Hey, look, I want to run some vertical sets. Get me a big, fast, strong, physical guy." But I'm telling you what, off season gonna come around, and the Browns need to ask themselves: it's going to be a little bit of a rebuild either way. You want the mini rebuild, or you want the heavy duty full rebuild? Because I'm gonna tell you what the way that the fans is feeling now, it's gonna be some people that check out on that heavy duty rebuild. Jimmy Haslam might tell you, "Look, I'm trying to get a stadium done. Ain't no way I could go and tank and go back to the dark ages, and I'm trying to get support from the public on a new building." Ownership might not even let them do no full tear down. So, that's the question that we're looking at. You could still see some guys like David Njoku move. You could still see a few guys that you feel like, the Wyatt Tellers of the world, Dalvin Tomlinson. You could still see some of those guys moved in the offseason. But I think there needs to be a change of philosophy. And also, Camp Cupcake should be over. I don't know what he has to do, go get a drill sergeant, but a lot of what we see in this year, I think it has to do with just the lack of physicality, the lack of attention to the grind that you need to be in. Like, a lot of guys came in like this was just fun and sweet, and they thought teams was going to lay down. And why? Why? Because you made the playoffs last year. Your goal is supposed to be what the Pittsburgh Steelers are, and that goal is to be, hey, no matter who quarterback is, there's a certain level of character that we play with, a certain level of energy that we play with. That's the C word. Culture is we play the same way at all times, no matter who out here. And right now, the Browns play up and down depending on a number of situations. They're gonna have to figure out what's up with the culture again. Let's see. Justin Fields should be in no conversation as a Browns quarterback. Okay. G. Bush, can you play? Nah, I ain't got nothing. Listen, my back almost started hurt from waiting in line to just vote. Man. Let's see. Dorothy has to go. Ran mostly Kevin's play action against Baltimore. Ran Dorsey's offense against Charger. Pretty obvious who has to go. That's another thing, too. I will still bring Jameis Winston back, though he's mature enough and he could take a beating. Bring him back for a bridge. That may be the only option. I mean, the other ones that aren't great. Deion Wilson, check out Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. He's a better McMillan, and projected a third round, might be an upgraded second. You can watch with his hands. I'm gonna check that out. It's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna be doing now where it's kind of refreshing a little bit. I used to be big into the draft, but for the Browns, they moved to a place where it was kind of like, they in win now mode. So we didn't have draft picks, draft capital, and we were looking to go to the next level. So I haven't really been in the draft, but it's gonna be fun because there's all kind of pieces and parts you can evaluate because the Browns need so much. Let's see. Thank you for Za'Darius. He will win in the D. Yeah, man. Shout out to Za'Darius Smith, by the way. Go out there and try to do something. Let me get a couple more. Andrew knows his job is on the line. He has to risk it all this upcoming season. Yeah, this is another thing. How do you tightrope this thing? Because I don't think that you can come out and simply tank. But how aggressive is Andrew Berry going to be in trying to get the Browns back quick to winning quickly? I think that the Browns believe that they're only a quarterback away. I think this move kind of signals that to me that they are selling behind closed doors to Jimmy Haslam. Look, I understand Za'Darius, don't pay attention to that. Za'Darius, Amari, all those guys, the only guys we're moving, we probably weren't going to bring back next year anyway. Think about it. Amari Cooper, we weren't bringing back Za'Darius Smith. We did offer a contract, but that wasn't, when we was losing this year, we might as well give Isaiah McGuire and some of these other guys an opportunity. None of the guys we're trying to move are core pieces to what we want to do. They probably view Denzel Ward, JOK, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb as their core. I think Jerry Jeudy would probably be in that core too because they paid him, and I think Cedric Tillman can play his way into that core. Other than that, DeJuan Jones could, if he plays well at left tackle, he might be able to play his way in. I think David Njoku is part of the core as well too, because you can't really ask a bunch of young players to tank, because what'll happen is it'll get ingrained into their DNA. If you're losing games and you don't got no veterans to really hold the fort down and grab the reins and say, hey, look, we're not about to do certain things. If you're doing that with a bunch of young players, you can ruin your whole culture and you can ruin young players, because it's a bad thing when you're just losing like that. Let's see. Let's get to a couple more here. G Turk says, NFL trades during the season is never crazy compared to other sports. Draft picks are way more valuable in the NFL. You're starting to see people is coveting these draft picks, but for the Cleveland Browns, it don't matter if you got a bunch, you got to hit on them. Sell everything, get it online in Shador, and everything else will settle itself. I wouldn't mind having Shador Sanders. I'll tell you that. I think he holds the ball a lot. I think he's going to have to break himself out of that. But it ain't me I'm worried about. It's just when we talk about the culture of the Cleveland Browns, we do not like a bunch of flash. We don't like a bunch of pizzazz, and we don't like outside stuff, man. Like, we get too caught up in all that, man. I argue back and forth with some of my counterparts all the time. Like, who cares? Like, you're on social media showing your vacations. Like, why is that a problem? Like, dude, that's like that. Here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say about this. If you worried about what somebody else is doing on social media, whether they got a new car, whether they got jewelry, whether they on vacation, whatever pictures they putting up, if you got a problem with that so tough, that might be a you problem. You're projecting here. Why would I get mad that Deshaun Watson or any other football player, basketball player shows his vacation? Like, guys, we're all human beings. Guys, he can't take pictures and photos with his family for memory. Like, that's the type of stuff that make me second think that people, hey, Odell Beckham had a watch on. Odell Beckham had clown shoes on. Oh, my gosh. So, look, I'm just giving you the heads up. I wouldn't mind having him as a player, but, we're here. We kind of a different fan base. We're kind of a different bunch of people. Why, when this shit happens, like this happens to our team, it feels like we have a complete blow up on our hands, but when it's other teams, it's a quick fix here or there. My man Reese, I feel you to death, man. I feel you. As you can see, I'll be exasperated. As you can see, because other teams, Jaden Daniels, they was bad. Boom, got a quarterback. Let's roll. Detroit Lions, they was bad. Jared Goff, boom, nice. Jameer, we ready to roll. It's a team that go from worst to first every year. The Texans, C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, boom. Will Anderson, boom, ready to go right now. We up here talking about a 3 to 5 year plan. We 3 to 5 year plan. We get people every year. Guys don't be turning up to be nothing. 3 to 5. Stefanski has never coached an elite quarterback. Of course, Joe Flacco can play. Can use play action to death. Those are the quarterbacks he's used to. Why is Dorsey calling a Stefanski offense? That's a fair point. And finally, Michael Smith says, not going to happen. I'm thinking he's talking about Shador Sanders. Oh, man. Rob Cunningham says, show some training pictures along with vacation so we can see you try to get better. Fake us out at least. I will say this. It's just all about where you're looking at. Like, I watch for all the time because I do watch these. I watch these receiver training videos and quarterback training videos where they work with receiver coaches in the off season, and a lot of them get together. So I've seen, even at a college level, those guys do. All of them do it. It's just a simple fact that are we locked in and dialed in to see where they at? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot on Instagram. A lot of Instagram joints, Instagram reels is training material that I look at. It pops up all the time. I can even tell you, like right now, Odell Beckham Jr. was one of the guys I like to watch called Route God. If y'all check him out, Route God, he does all this training about how to get off press coverage. I show Tyvis all the time. So check those channels out. You see a lot of your players, like, quarterbacks, they work with sessions. There's one I think Colorado put out, Coach Prime put out, with Cam Ward and Shador Sanders playing, doing 7-on-7 themselves, like before this season started, basically going throw for throw with some of the trainers out there. So, it's out there. I just think there's a lot of times it's the perception. Like when Baker did those commercials, people say he should be worried about playing ball. And you're like, bro, you do know that he shot those commercials all in one day, right? Those commercials was done for the whole season, probably maybe 1 or 2 days. Knock it in, get the bag. He hasn't even shot. He shot those weeks ago. So it's just a little. When you're losing, taking L's, and you don't look good, people gonna be on you. I think that's just what it is.